One of the things I love most about my work is how excited buyers get about purchasing their home and making all of these plans to how they want to make it their own. Many times when people buy homes, they're looking to do just little cosmetic updates to make it their own, like putting in new flooring, or perhaps they want to, paint the interior, simple things like that. Other times I have clients who purchase homes knowing that they are going to do some major updates. They're going to change the footprint of the house. They're going to add an addition. They're going to, rip it up and start all over. And so in today's video, we are going to be talking about different upgrades that you can make in your house and ones that you should be careful about or you might regret them. Okay, the first upgrade that I want to talk about is controversial, and that is installing an in-ground or above ground pool. Now, I will say we're not in Florida, we're in Maryland, and so, a pool is not something that you can enjoy year round, but sometimes, especially people with children, really love pools, and I have some clients who've bought properties that have them, either in-ground pools or above ground pools, and, there are a lot of things to think about before you make a decision to install one. Number one, when it comes to above ground pools, some people think of them as an eyesore, especially when it comes to resale. It's also something that sometimes neighbors don't really like looking at out of their windows. So that's just something to keep in mind that, it might be an issue when you go to sell it to somebody else, that they have to figure out how to deal with this big above ground pools. It also creates, an area in the yard, if they do get rid of it, that's just like got dead grass and, something that they're going to have to fix and amend. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to above ground pools. For in-ground pools, you have to think about maintenance costs and, again, resale, because not everybody is going to be thinking about a pool as a bonus. And also, a lot of times properties with pools have higher homeowners insurance than homes that don't have pools. So that's also something that's important to keep in mind. Another thing is that as kids outgrow it, a lot of times people get pools because they're thinking about their children and having all of those years of fun of their kids, swimming around and enjoying them during the summer months. But keep in mind, as your children grow up, your pool will get less use and it could become an expense that's not really worth it over time. Okay, the next thing on the list that I want to talk about are wooden play structures. So these are like the little swing sets and jungle gyms and things like that you have outside of your home for your kiddos to play on. And I have a little one, he's 11 months, so I completely understand the rationale of having a play structure at your home that your kid can play on and not necessarily have to leave and go to a park or a playground all the time. I think one of the things to keep in mind is that they're expensive. I mean, they can be thousands of dollars to install. And it's another thing similar to the pool where over time your kids will outgrow them. I have a personal friend and they had an amazing play structure in their backyard that, had a swing set and a little playhouse and it had a zip line on it and it was amazing. But now their daughter is 12 years old and doesn't use it anymore. And so that's something to think about. They're going to have to go through the expense of, paying somebody to take it down, figuring out how to sell it, what to do with it. A lot of times this can be an issue when you're selling your home as well, because sometimes if the person that's coming after you doesn't need a play structure, maybe they don't have young kids, then they might ask you to remove it or something like that. So these are all just things to keep in mind before you make the leap and installing one of these wooden play structures in your backyard. All right, the next on the list are purchasing really, really high-end appliances. Now, I have seen appliances in homes that people selected specifically because they are restaurant grade quality. I mean, like multiple burners and, deep zero, I don't know if that's the right word, but refrigerators that are just amazing and huge and all of this stuff. So, I understand wanting top of the line and top quality. And if you have a personal need or preference for that because of, you know, the way you cook or the dinner parties you throw or needing double ovens or 3 ovens, all of that, I get it. And certainly it adds value, but you want to be careful how much you spend when you're thinking about resale, because not everybody is going to see the value in having such top of the line, high-end appliances. So it's something that if you want it for personal preference, go for it, but just be careful how much you spend when it comes to resale. You might not get all of that money back. If you are new to my channel, welcome. You have come to the right place for all there is to know about living, working, thriving in the Baltimore metro region and beyond. If you are new, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell for notifications so that you can be alerted whenever there is new content to the channel. My name is Persia, and every day I get calls, texts, and emails from people like you who are thinking about making a move in Maryland, whether that's buying or selling, and I'm a local realtor who loves what she does. So if you are thinking about making that move, whether it's in the next 9 days or 90 days, please feel free to reach out to me and to my team. We would absolutely love to help you. You can reach out to us by calling, texting, emailing. We can schedule a video call, and it would be our absolute pleasure to help you make the move in Maryland. Okay, next on the list of home improvements that you might end up regretting are individual tubs, like freestanding tubs. And the reason is this: a lot of times they don't get as much use as you think that they're going to do. And also they tend to be very, very deep, which is some of my clients' complaints, is that they are stunning, they're beautiful, they make your house look so updated and modern, but they're deep. So it makes it like not practical when you're bathing your kids in it. Also, like if you're older or something like that, or have mobility issues, it makes getting in and out of the tub really difficult because they are really deep. So as aesthetically beautiful as they are, freestanding, some of these new modern tubs are not as great as they seem. Another thing including regarding these freestanding tubs is that they take up a lot of space, and you really need to have a good footprint in your bathroom to include one. So what I'm seeing is in a lot of homes and updated renovations, people are kind of combining the freestanding tub in the shower space to make it make sense. And you know, it works, I guess, but it might not be great for everybody. Not everybody might want a tub inside of their shower space. So, you know, making sure that you have the right layout and footprint for your bathroom to have one of these freestanding tubs is really important if that's something that you're thinking about in terms of an upgrade. The next home update that you might end up regretting is converting your garage into a living space. Now, I have a really good friend who did this. The renovation turned out amazing. It's like a little bit of a sunken living room area, but it's big, and then he created double doors outdoor to his patio, and it really makes sense for him. He had a large driveway, so he was able to, you know, park his car in the driveway and didn't necessarily need a covered garage, so it really works for him, but it might not work for everyone. Some people, when you're thinking about resale or even for your own personal property, you have to think about what it means to let go of a garage space and turn it into extra living area. If you need that for, you know, you want a playroom or you want a living room, you want to add square footage to your home, I think it's a fabulous idea, but just keep in mind it might shrink your pool of buyers in the future when you're going to sell, because some people need a covered parking space. They really want a garage, and that's a non-negotiable for them. So if that's the case and you've converted it, you're kind of taking away those potential buyers. So just something to think about. Okay, the next upgrade that you might regret is converting an extra bedroom into a walk-in closet. I have seen this so many times, and I have to admit I'm guilty. I turned an extra bedroom in my house into a walk-in closet because I needed the closet space and I wanted to do it. And it's great to have a walk-in, to have the shelving, to be able to see all of your clothes and shoes and have that extra space. But when people come in on the resale side, it might not work for them. And then all they're thinking in their mind is, I'm gonna have to convert this back. I'm gonna have to take all these shelves down. I'm gonna have to patch up all the walls. I'm gonna have to turn it into a room for my kids, or whatever they need it for. You know, when you're thinking about the expense and all of that of converting something, a room, into a closet, I understand that it might work really well for your needs. And if so, more power to you, but it also might limit the pool of buyers that you have for resale. And also if your circumstances change, for example, if you end up having a larger family in the future or need a home office or something like that, you are gonna have to go through the process of converting it back to a bedroom. home. So all things to keep in mind so we do not have regret. Okay, last but not least, this one is a controversial one. A design element that you might regret in your home is having open shelving in your kitchen. Now, I gotta say, I really love the way that it looks. It's beautiful. It makes your home feel more open. You have like, maybe cabinets on the bottom, but open shelves on the top. And so you can see all of your beautiful dishes and it just looks really beautiful. But know that there is also a downside to having open shelving. First of all, you're sacrificing storage space, right? If you don't have upper cabinets and you have open shelving, instead, open shelves are not as deep as cabinets. They don't go up as high as cabinets and things like that. So you are going to be sacrificing space for the aesthetic look. Another thing to keep in mind is that you kind of can't hide clutter as good with open shelving. I'm the kind of person who my shelves are not aesthetic. They don't all look beautiful all the time. You lose that ability to kind of put something in there and shut the door when you have open shelving. So it kind of holds you to the standard of making sure you're wiping them down all the time, keeping all your dishes and different knickknacks really organized to keep that look. And for some people, that's probably not an issue at all. For other people, it might get a little old over time. So just something to think about when you're adding these modern elements to your home. Okay, so when you've bought a home and you're thinking about making these updates, how do you decide what to work on first, what not to bother with? It's a really good question. It's really important to prioritize immediate repairs. So through the course of the home inspection, if you found out that there are any issues with the roofing structure, with electrical, with plumbing, with, sewer line, those are all things to take care of first. Then you should prioritize the cosmetic stuff. Another thing to think about before making cosmetic updates to the home is you want some time to sit in the home and really decide what it is that you want, that you need, how you function in your home. And so I always give the advice to live in your home for a year before making any major updates to the home. So sometimes you just got to get a feel of how it is to live in the home, how things, function, how you're living in the space before you decide to make any major changes. My next advice is to create a budget and stick to it. I know that this sometimes is hard, but you got to decide what your priorities are. Get multiple estimates because you're always going to get a high one, a low one, and one right in the middle. So talk to multiple people about what you're thinking about doing to get estimates. And then always err on the side of caution and increase that budget by 20% because stuff always goes wrong and you want to just have that in mind before, making your budget and then being upset that it's going to cost more than you initially thought. It happens. When it comes to deciding which areas you should prioritize for renovations, it's always going to be kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces. Those are the ones that get the most bang for your buck and that are going to provide the most value in resale to your home. It's important to prioritize functionality over cosmetics. And it's also important to think about the timeline that you have for your renovations and also bump that up a little bit. If they tell you it's going to take 3 months, it probably is going to take longer. So don't be surprised by that either. The last thing I will say is make sure that you are hiring a licensed professional who is pulling permits and who's doing the work by the book. I can't tell you how many times, especially in the Baltimore metro region, that I am seeing renovations who are done by people that are not licensed or they're not pulling permits. Things are wrong. You do not want to get yourself into that situation. So make sure that you're working with someone who is reputable, who can help you, make sure that your renovation is going to be not only beautiful, but functional and is going to stand the test of time. Well, there you have it, a little list of things that you should think about before renovating your home or you might regret them. I hope you found this information helpful. And again, if you are thinking about making a move in Maryland, please feel free to reach out to me and my team. You can call us, text us, email us. We can set up a video chat and I would love to help you through that process. If you've had any experience with renovation in Maryland or updating your home or anywhere in the country, please feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear from you and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.